Hello Fly Nation and welcome to the Freestyle Your Life podcast, the one and only podcast inspiring you to live your authentic greatness while teaching you that less is more. I'm your host, Erneste Zimmermann, and I'm on my mission to help you to be the hero you were meant to be and to live what you came for in life and in business. Remember, the quest we came here for is to discover our true nature, explore our potential and share it by living. Hello Fly Nation, welcome to today's interview with Katja Rusanen. She is a spiritual counselor and mentor for Lightworkers and inspires us on how to succeed on purpose, overcome energetic blocks and fears, and how to learn to find joy again after going through challenging experiences. Let's jump right into it. So, my dear listeners of the Fly Podcast in the Fly Nation, today I have the privilege to speak to Katja Rusanen, and she's a spiritual counselor and mentor for Lightworkers. Also, both of us we are, and maybe plenty of the listeners also. And you help coaches overcome their blocks and their fear of visibility, right? That's what we are practicing ourselves here. So it's a big challenge to become visible online and everywhere, right? For me, that was a big step.
It is indeed, and I have done my own journey as well with that. At school, I was super shy. So if you would have told me, like even 10 years ago, that I will be doing this podcast with you, I would have been like, no, the words would have stuck on my throat and like having this fear, because I got that already at school. Like, I don't know about you, but many of us, maybe, hopefully, it wasn't only me, who have experienced.
Me too. But actually, what from? Because I'm not biting, and all the listeners don't bite. But yeah, it's so inherited in us, right, from evolution. So speaking in public is number one fear.
It is.
Everybody has to face it because most people don't. But those who want to make the challenge, and of course we have to do it, working on the podcast, and don't need to do no podcast sitting here in my room and not sharing it. So but it was a step to get over that. But well, we are growing by overcoming our fears, right, and our blocks.
Yes, and that actually exactly my message that I want to deliver to the world was the reason why I learned, like, okay, I got to overcome my fears and overcome my judgments, because those judgments that I made against myself didn't help me at all, because I just couldn't go out there and speak because I was judging myself before even I got the first word out. Yeah. So that did not help. So if you are doing that too, there are tools how you can change your relationship with yourself, and how you change your relationship with your speaking. Because if you're listening to this and you feel that you have the message, you have a story that can be a glimpse of hope to somebody else on their journey, just there is way to overcome yourself so that you can share your message. I believe that because I've done that.
It's wonderful. That's why I made actually the attempt, because so many people have wonderful stories inside, right? But they don't know where to share them. So what I I'm airing Tuesdays and Thursdays, so twice a week. But I will have, of course, many of experts in their special field, right? Because it's everything about becoming authentic and legendary in this area here. But I also give my stage to people who are not known as experts, but for my consideration, they are experts because they have overcome trauma and traumatic situations, right? Like losing a child, being very ill, whatever. And but nobody knows them, and they have a big resilience factor. Otherwise, they wouldn't have survived, right? Which they suffered from. And so I consider them as experts too, and that's why I'm giving them my stage here too.
Oh, that's so beautiful, because yes, I totally agree on that. Like, if you have gone through something that has been very challenging, it can, like, when you share the story that you overcame something, it can give hope for somebody else. It can give just inspiration that it's possible for somebody else. Just by sharing your journey.
Yeah, totally agree, Katja, and that's why I'm so glad that you are on today. So I have a media trainership also, but I don't work on that field. But of course, we are both light workers, and I use it to tune into the energy. So before, in preparation of the interview, I just tune in, and I know how it goes, right? So, yeah.
That's wonderful. Yes.
The energy, and I feel the energy block. So we're gonna talk about that in just a minute. I feel the energy blocks also, but yeah, it's a fantastic thing to learn from life heroes' journeys and stories. That's what I truly believe. Because if you're reading an article or a book or whatever, you can do that, of course, but the more personal the story is, and whether you relate to it or not, or can understand it or not, but the personal topic inside, right? That's what motivates and inspires. So if I faced that and could be sitting here with you today, so everybody of our listeners can, right? Whatever you faced, how we all came to what we are doing today because we had exactly that challenge, right?
Yeah, we all have some kind of challenges in here because, well, I believe we are in the Earth School, and this is a place for us to learn and grow and things. And this was something I learned from University of Santa Monica, and it has huge gift of how I see things, because they taught me like things don't happen to you, they happen for you. So it's then like, okay, if this happened, things do happen, and sometimes very, very challenging things do happen. But then it's how do you relate to those things? Because sometimes it's like finding the learning, because if something happens, and then it's up to you what kind of story you make out of it. Really, exactly. And that's the solution already. Yeah, we both have the agree upon that. Of course, we struggle. You struggle, and plenty of people out there struggle in Fly Nation. But the thing is, whatever you make out of it, you just pointed it out. So life is a change. And life is also struggle and obstacles. That's just how life is, right? In most of the times, and for plenty of people. And whatever we consider and make out of it or learn out of it, that's how we grow and succeed. Yes. So by not giving up, but by moving through, that's one approach you take. And I have exactly the same. We can grow through the challenge. Yeah, and Absolutely. And sometimes it's very helpful to have someone to hold light while you are going through the struggle. Because when you are going through the darkness, sometimes the obstacle that you are facing might feel like there is no way I can overcome this. Yes. It feels like so overwhelming. And I have been on my own personal journey experiencing those moments. But when you have somebody who holds the space for you, who holds kind of, I say, bringing light into the darkness, they can't walk the journey for you, but they can like kind of be a way shower for you, like showing you like the next step or just showing the light, like, okay, move forward, here is the way. And that way you can maybe move forward easier, because I've been in my own journey in a very, very dark place. And I thought like, there is no way that I never in my life will be happy again, and that I will ever be joyful again. And those moments, there was actually really, truly just strangers popping into my life saying some sentences, like I believe those were angels just coming to me, like just showing that there is support available and leading me like bit by bit away from that dark place where I was. But it was so magical. Like now when I look at back then, I just wanted them to go away. I did not want to have any help. But now when I see them like and think about those situations, I was like, wow, that was a blessing that that person just said, hello, how are you? And whatever that was, because when you're in a very dark place, sometimes it can be even a smile from a stranger that can help you to go forward even just a little more. And that way you start like seeing more and more light on your journey.
Yes, I love it. You're so enthusiastic on it. So let's dive in a little bit on the energetic blocks, Katja. What is it? And if you want to share what you experienced, feel welcome to do that. And what could we give our listeners here at Fly Nation as advice how to cope with it?
So how I see energetic blocks, I feel like our body is like a storage unit. And if something happens to us and if we don't resolve that emotion, we store it somewhere in our body. And I know that from my personal experience, because when I was 16 years old, I went through a very traumatic experience at that time for me, as I lost my boyfriend to suicide.
Oh my gosh.
And that was a thing, like it was so overwhelming. So I could not handle it back then. I just stuffed it down because I was just crying and crying and crying. And then there was no stop. And I just needed to somehow find a way to move forward. So I just pushed down those emotions. And I did push them down, but that did not make them disappear.
No,
so every now and then they came forward, and it was like ongoing thing. And then I pushed them back, and then another thing popped them up, and I again pushed them back, until I found tools to actually start having a look what they are, and like going through the emotion, going truly through the grief. And because it was kind of being 16, it almost killed me, actually, to be honest. I was very close to end my own life because it just felt so overwhelming. It felt like this is end of my world too.
Right. But you, because of what happened, or because of your feeling you couldn't help it, or you couldn't do anything about it, or? It
was a combination of both. I think it was the grief for losing a loved one, but there was also the guilt, and that often comes, I think, with this suicide. Like, I should have known, I should have done something, I should have been with him in that moment.
Sure.
There was the survival guilt as well, like I should have been able to save him.
Yeah.
And that was hard, because then there was the blame, and then there was the grief, and those two together, it was very challenging for me personally. And that was kind of felt like there is no way out.
Yeah, I can feel it. Yes.
So that.
Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm.
That was then what actually then though put me to the spiritual path, because I was looking for answer why. And I think many people who lose a loved one to suicide, especially, and if there is, like in this case, there was no note, it came out of blue, and I just wanted to know why. Yeah. That was my question. Why? And that was kind of like going all the time in my mind. Yeah. And I could not figure it out with my mind. So then I started to find the spiritual text and spiritual teachings because I wanted to know why this had to happen. Yes. And that then put me on the learning path of spirituality, because that was the only place when I started to find answers. Okay. And what did you discover? It was a lot to do with the personal, like I discovered karma, like how the law of karma works. And I discovered also like the soul's journey. And how and one thing that was very profound for me was also recognizing how our soul's journey continues beyond this physical body, beyond this physical realm. And I felt the connection with my loved one, even though he was passed away from in this level. So that was something that it was really like mind-blowing in some levels, like I still have this connection and he's not here. Yes. So that was one of the things, and one of the things also kept me going was the experience that I have. I felt presence of my big brother who had passed. I had not even met him ever in this life, because he passed away before I was born. And he came one day when I was very close to end my life, so I felt his presence. And he reminded me of the love that I felt towards my parents. And that made a decision to continue here. Well, it was the love. It was the love that pulled me back. And that love was so strong that I made a decision to, okay, I feel this pain, but there is a purpose why I'm here. And I am here for a reason. These things did happen for some sort of reason, bigger plan. That I had no access that time, but I chose to trust that there is a way forward. That there is a way through this darkness that I experienced. And that was the glimpse of hope. That was the glimpse of like finding meaning. And that's why I feel like the purpose is such a key word for me, because that feeling that I have a purpose here. I have a reason why I'm here. It was like, I can't end it here. I need to keep going. And feeling the love was such a gift that I still am so grateful. And I'm so grateful that day I chose to continue here. And being able to go through those dark times. And then now, like, those days I would have never ever thought, like now people say, oh, you smile all the time. And I'm like, yes, I do. Because I discovered the joy of life again.
Yes. And that's so important, Katja.
Yes.
That's so important. And that's why I bring up all the guests here and to motivate and to inspire our listeners out there that, yes, most of us go through tough times from time to time, right?
Yeah.
And but everybody has a different approach on it, right? So one person might suffer from this loss that you experienced, unfortunately, and would have taken the decision, well, if he's not here, I don't need to be here, whatever, right? I commit suicide. And as you just mentioned, there was a thinking of it too, by you. And but you got your brother's signs, I would call it like that, and you made up your mind, and everything turned around, right? So it's one situation, but everybody's acting different on it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the inspiration and the motivation that I want to deliver here with my guests, and that's just a wonderful example how you did act on that, and from hit your button came up to shining and joy again. Wonderful.
Because it's possible, and that is now my message as well. If people are going hard times, that it is possible to shift the relationship that you have with the story. Because those things, if I could, I would love to change what happened, but that is not in my hands. So what I can change is how I view the story.
Yes.
And that's the only thing I can choose my attitude. I can choose how I tell that story in my head. And this did not happen overnight. Like it was a process that it took a long time for me, because in the beginning I was very reluctant to have help. So when people came to help me, I actually pushed them away. I was like, that was part of the guilt that I felt I need to suffer. Mm-hmm. I need to feel bad. Yeah. And then it was like bit by bit, it was a process to start seeing more and more light and feeling more and more light.
Yes.
And finding those tools actually, and have the courage to take a look inside and start working through those blocks. Because those blocks, those energy blocks that were these unresolved feelings and emotions, they kept me suffering. Those were the things that it wasn't that what happened anymore, because that happened in the past. But how
it's long gone.
Yeah, it was long gone, but it lived within me.
Yes.
And my mind put me through that over and over and over again. Yes. And it was so real. Like when we think about something, it's kind of like it happens now. Yeah. And even though it was years ago.
Yeah.
Until
it masquerades as truth, right? So, that's just how our mind works. And there are different approaches on that, right? Because I have partly, that's part of my program, Freestyle Your Life too. But so I'm curious on your approach on that to reframe the story.
So what I normally do with people, and it's again depends who I work with. My approach is very guided, and what I though want to go is the core.
Yes.
To the core event, and sometimes it might not be the one that you think. It might be something happened earlier and it just escalates.
Right.
Because how karma works, that we repeat a pattern over and over again until we learn the lesson. Because that's how I see karma. It's not necessarily something that comes and gets you. It's more like a teacher who gives you opportunity after opportunity to learn the lesson.
Yeah, and if you don't learn it, it comes as a present in another paper.
Yeah, again and again. And that way, like finding the core, and often it's a judgment. We judge ourselves, we judge others, we judge the world or God or whatever that is, that there is something that we think is wrong, or we somehow judged as something negative. And when we find that core judgment, then often opens then to work on the emotion. And another way though, because sometimes we have even the block so strong that we don't even want to go there, the core. So sometimes we can work just through the feeling, locating the feeling in our body, and just allowing that feeling to be present. And just truly paying attention to that. Because that, just acknowledging and feeling it, even within a safe place, with the support, it can then bring forward the information. If there is something you need to know, it might come forward, or you can maybe let go of that. And it can happen fast.
Yes. And because I had Eric Newins just before on the talk, and we had covered part of what we are talking about just now. But of course, we can reframe it, and we have different methods and processes to do it, right? But okay, it is to accept whatever is there, right?
Yes.
And it can go easily, but sometimes it doesn't. So that's what really is interesting for my listeners in Fly Nation. Yeah, so I, for example, have a problem with my neck. I have a bone problem there. Don't know the expression in English. I have it very long, but it's very risky to operate because it's just up here. So it's really troubling me right now. So I did work on all that. Of course, I'm working on that. But it's so strong that it doesn't go that easily, you know. So what more can listeners or me do on that? If it's not that easy, if it's not, because I keep on asking what will it tell me, right? It's sending love and light and everything, but it doesn't want to show what is the meaning, and it's not getting anything better right now. I have sort of stress because I'm in the launch, and I'm booked till beginning of September, so that swamped me, but that's a luxury problem. I'm not complaining about that. Yes, I have a lot of work, but not to have people on the podcast to talk, and most podcasters missing on people they can interview, right? But I have too much, so that's a luxury problem, right? So, well, they have to wait till the episode will be airing, but that's all. So that shouldn't be such a big problem, but it is here, and it makes difficult to what's the right direction, right? So it's I'm right-handed, is my managing side here. That's telling me, well, you're sort of overplaying and doing too much right now. That's the meaning of whatever tells me here.
Well, then you got that message. And sometimes when it comes to physical, it's always like good to check with the doctor or whoever takes care of your health, that if it's a physical and there is some interference needed. But it's again like, what is the story that you are making for having the pain? It's also good to check, when did you get that? Was there something happening that moment when you started feeling that more and more? Because those are sometimes we might not even notice what has been the feeling. And then you can tune into having that relationship, because that's part of you now, that feeling. And it's painful.
I have it very long, and it shows up in stressful situations. And of course, right at the moment, it's stressful. But I'm loving it, right? But I still have my my experience from the past. So I have to watch my energy level and not to burn out again, right? So and with that background, it's different than running in the burnout before, right? You experience all that.
And that might be then, because if it's stress related.
It's a muscle problem. The muscles fix too much, you know? They are not,
they get
smooth,
tense.
They are stretching. The tension is too much.
So then it could be like having, sometimes I even ask people like, have a conversation like you got the message from there. And then you can have this conversation with the pain, like what you feel in the body, like giving that, like what does it want to tell you? Because these things normally happen to, like some of the things happen to us physically that we pay attention, like there is a message.
Exactly.
And then it gets higher and higher because we are like, if I got to do this and got to do that, and like, go away, don't bother me. And it just keeps coming back and it escalates.
Yes.
So if that happens, then it's like, okay, what is the core message there that you come to remind me of? And also like there is, well, there you go. So
even the problem that is not the time of
so then it would,
of the launch, you know.
And I do hear that, but there is part of you in your body that feels like, okay, I got to have a break. And it doesn't mean that you stop completely. But can you do 1 minute break?
Yeah.
So it can be like, if your body wants to have a break, okay, sometimes we think like, I can't take a weekend off and I can't do this. But then make it so small that you can say, okay, let's start with this, like, and see how it works for you. I always say like, okay, test it out, check it out. And it can be actually just a minimal thing. When you start feeling it high, like, okay, can I give myself 1 minute? And breathe in and out, just 1 minute, and that's all. And then say, I took a break. Now I continue. Because it's often also how we relate to. And what you shared there is very crucial, the messages that you hear. I think part of you knows. And part of you is saying, yes, but you have this list of things to do. I see you very active. I see you very like achiever, a lot of things.
Yes.
And maybe there is some judgments towards this pain because it's like, oh, this is my side. I need to see there and like I need to move. So go away. Stop bothering me. So it's also like, okay, how do you relate to that? What's your relationship with that pain? Because that's there right now. I wish it wouldn't be there, but it is. So it's again how you relate to that, how you relate to that pain. What's your relationship? Well, if there is any judgments, how do you think about the pain in your neck?
Yeah, of course. For me, right now, that's the worst time to come up. It is for quite a time now, and I didn't act on it because I was preparing here so much, and then we've been in Tampa, and everything was that was not really holiday, right? We had been in the event hall nearly all day and night. And it's just my neck says, come on, give me a break. And yes.
And that's also like, because neck is very interesting because it's our mind. It's the connector. Yeah, it's the connector with our mind and our heart.
Right.
The neck connects us. Right. And another thing that came forward is always what I encourage people to do is do compassionate self-forgiveness. Like, I forgive myself for judging this pain, myself, or the situation, whatever that is, that you can find peace within. Even if you have that pain in your neck area, so that you still can have peace.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know it better, but I still, it's really bothering me right now.
I know.
I don't have the time to really relax on that just now, right? So, and whenever I experience that, and I did all the coachings and everything on that, so I'm my own self-expert. That's what I really did until I did my mastery in that, because I don't want to be stuck to a doctor or whatever and be in need of anybody else, right? Because I believe we have the healer inside, right? So not really somebody from the outside can heal us. We need to heal whatever inside doesn't fit, right? In so many cases, the small child or whatever, in my case it's like that, experiences and the inner child is still crying in there, right? How we pumped it down, like you explained so great before, just with the grief and everything. We put it down and put it down and put it down, and it comes wrapped with another paper, and we put it down again, and it doesn't get better, it gets worse.
Yeah.
Right? And like this problem is sort of the same, right? I know exactly I should just chill out and I act on that as much as I can.
Yeah.
Like going to the sauna, having a massage, or going to play golf. Well, that my arm is affected of that, so I cannot hit the ball that much. But I'm doing those things as I know it's necessary, absolutely. And but it's sort of still not enough. Should do more of that, but for more of that I don't have the time, right?
Yeah. And then maybe it's forgiving that, because you do your best. Because when we say I should, we put even more package to our backpack. It's like, okay, because then it's kind of blaming yourself as well. Like, well, you do what you can at the moment.
Yes.
And you take care with the ways you can, but then there is part of you that would like to do more, but then part of you is like saying, oh, I have all these things to do. But it's again like, okay, knowing that you do what you can, and those are the choices that you make. And that's kind of like, okay, I forgive myself for judging myself for not doing enough. because it's a judgment that we place against ourselves. And you know, part of you knows that this is what I can at the moment. And yes, I would wish I could do more. But when we say I should do more, we are judging ourselves for not being enough, doing enough, and all that. So that's, again,
Thank you for reminding me. But sometimes, and that's why I always love not just to talk about something, but I have the experts or the people, or just in my case, for example, so we can work it out, right, together. So
yeah,
much better for our listeners out there to explore the situation. So your insights, my insights, and okay, that was the problem. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I should. Now, normally is I canceled all the words. I do have, I should, I could. Yeah. If I don't want it, I try to not to do it, and I try to. Well, I shifted my whole work around because some of the work I didn't want to do. I just shifted it, and I do it. I don't do it no more.
Yeah.
So right here, it's I love this work. I love to talk. I love to be with different people, and I love to inspire and motivate my listeners out there. So I have the
you have the drive.
Very helpful, right? And also I know it everything myself because I've gone through. For me, it was just great to be reminded by you. Don't say should. Yeah, because there is a judgment inside.
And I truly want to acknowledge you for being so open and like giving the listeners an opportunity to hear this work that we do, like from your own very personal example as well. Because yes, and I believe all of us know a lot of things, because I normally work with who are already coaches, who are already alternative therapists. They have done so many courses, so much training. But then sometimes we do still need that reminder. Yes. Or we might, sometimes it's a blind spot because our mind can be very tricky. We might not want to go there. We are very trained, like go around these things. So that's why it's good to, when we work with somebody else, even we are already coaches. I do have a spiritual counselor who I go to work on my own stuff, because I do still have stuff. I've studied years as well. Yes. But I always love to get extra support, because he can hold the light for me to do the exploration within.
Yeah. And we are never done with that, right? It's a total process of transformation, and I'm sure it never ends.
Yeah, as long as we are here, we have some work to do, and I'm not enlightened yet. I'm working on it, but still work to do there. Yeah,
but it's wonderful. So thanks for reminding me, Katja, on that.
You're welcome.
Well, I wanted to mention, we have the giveaway on the Fly podcast here, and I'm so grateful you gifted us with a 45-minute session on how to uncover the next step in whatever area on aspect of life you're facing challenges, and so that was just sort of example how that will go, right? I was just the example here. So this is very, very, very helpful, this gift you put in there, you threw in there. So thanks for that. So the listeners can win that. And you have a challenge right now, so that might be. Will you repeat it later on the year?
Yeah, it might come up later on. I haven't yet planned the autumn calendar, but I do have a Speak Your Purpose challenge coming up now, and that helps people because I'm all about helping light workers to take their work out there. And if there is anything blocking them, fears of visibility, fears of sharing their story, and these energy blocks that like slowing them down to create the impact they want. So this challenge is about how to share their work, because we do need to, people need to hear from you in order to hire you. So that's what I do as well, helping them to sharing their work. And yes, if I will do that later on, I will let you know so you can share it with your audience, because it's a wonderful, wonderful challenge. And getting the support in the Lightworkers community, Lightworkers who succeed on purpose, is my group where we do this challenge.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. So sometimes my first idea on that, when it first turned out with my neck hair, so I said, okay, this is the sort of the neck chakra and the throat chakra. Mm-hmm. And this has, of course, to do with visibility, with speaking, with getting your word out, right? So I said, okay, I'm doing it. I overcome my fears of public speaking, and I'm just into it. So I thought that should have been gone, right? Because, well, I'm doing all that work, what I was asked to do, right? So,
and I acknowledge you for overcoming that fear. And then sometimes like the pain, when it's physical body, like even when you are doing, like you're like, okay, if this is about public speaking, I'm already doing it, so go away.
Yeah.
But it's a physical body. It's again like, okay, how do you relate to that? Because that might go away when you overcome your fear, or it might stay for a while. It's when it comes to physical issues, it's very challenging to know, and I'm not a doctor to make any diagnosis there, but it's like you recognize yourself doing it. And then it can be having that conversation with the pain, like if there is anything else I need to know. That might be like, okay, I'm doing now this. I recognize it was linked. And if there is anything else I need to know from that pain, because there are so many messages our body can give us, and it can be also listening to that, like the levels, like when the pain is mild and when it goes very intense. So seeing what's happening, what am I thinking, what am I feeling, what am I doing? And those three things is something I work with my clients to become more aware, because all of those things need to be aligned for us to really, truly succeed.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And what I realize is I'm sitting too much right now, right? Because I have a lot of administrational setups here to make, and that keeps me in front of the computer. So right now, with you, it's totally okay. But if I sit there and I have to type all the time, I'm not made for sitting in the office. So I'm the type of girl, I love to be on the move and in nature. So I'm not good sitting inside and in front of the computer. That's not healthy for me.
Yeah,
and
so
I
then
know that, and I act on it. I'm sitting in summertime. I'm sitting on my terrace with my laptop up there, and I do a lot of sports and everything. So that's so I can ease that. But right now it's cold here in Germany. So I have to sit with the heating system on, and the air is so dry, and I have to sit too much in front of the computer, and that I know that is not good for me, and it shows me, it's not good for you, and you still don't change it.
Maybe that's why the message was also having the break. Like you mentioned, like one of the messages you heard was having a break.
Yes.
So maybe even though you would work many hours, maybe there can be mini breaks just to have little movement to make it more flowing.
Yeah,
and then
that's what I do.
Wonderful.
If I would be shown how.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
I'm
You're doing it
for my little breaks here, and hopefully it's getting better soon. So what I just wanted to take as example, but what I listen to it, I'm sending love and light to it, and I sort of really approve it and see it and everything, right? But and acknowledge it also, and accept it also, which doesn't mean
that's big. Yeah,
I'm totally agree to it, but I acknowledge, yes, it is there, and it has the message, and I tune into the message. So I'm doing most of the steps here, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I'm
you are.
And still, we ourselves sometimes have a really existing problem there. If I wouldn't love to be here on the call with great people, it would be so worse that I even couldn't sit. So it's I'm hearing the sign.
That's good. That's good. You are hearing the message loud and clear, and I recognize your awareness about it and your willingness to tune in and listen to it. Yeah. And now you can always having the conversation day to day and having the awareness to observe the levels of the pain that you are experiencing, and having the compassion with yourself as you are going through the days. And I just love your dedication to get these messages out there and helping others to share their message, creating this platform where people can share their work, share their message, and hopefully being a light, glimpses of light to people who are listening.
Yeah. That's why we do what we do, huh? And that's totally, I think it's for you, I can feel it. And for me also, that's totally fulfilling. And that's what we should seek for, right? So find whatever purpose we came here for, and act on it, live it.
Yeah. And I think that's my interpretation. We already do know the purpose that's already within us, but it's sometimes just opening up to hearing it. Because sometimes we might have been taught to do something and go to certain path, or we might think that will be making more sense, and maybe it does. But then within our heart, we have the calling to do something. So it's just tuning in. The message is already there. It's just for you to open up to receive it.
Yes. So that was the case when I was facing death. There was with the cancer disease. I had the calling in that very terrible night that I should be the guide for those who long to be authentic. That was a real calling, and I had sort of first I didn't want to tune in because I was in the greatest trouble myself, right? So, well, then if I will accept it, I will totally do it, and I promise. But then first, I need my energy back in everything, right? Because I was out of order, and it came back, right? So
yeah, and maybe
doing what I'm doing.
And sometimes when we find the purpose, when we find something to live for, that gives us the energy to keep going.
Yes.
Because we have the vision like, oh, that's something I want to do. And that helps also through the dark times and challenging situations when we have something that we aim.
Yeah, totally agree. Katja, we are nearly at the end. We are about to wrap it up. Did we forget something? Did you want to add something? Is there anything that has to be said?
Well, I just want to expand the invitation you already mentioned. If you feel called to, like that I could help you, whatever the challenge situation you have in your life, like feel free to reach out and we can have a look how we could work together to discovering your next step. Because you have a purpose, you have a work to do here, you have your mission. So don't let these energy blocks to hold you back for doing the work you do.
Exactly, that is great. So I will mention all that in the show notes because our listeners might be on the run. And thanks again for the session you're throwing in. So somebody will win that fantastic prize to have the session with you. And I will put everything in the show notes.
Beautiful.
So, that was Katja Rusanen, and I placed myself as an example for her to work on today, and she reminded me on just being open and just don't judge ourselves, which is what I consider self-sabotage. We are the biggest enemy of everything here. And the self-sabotage we are doing. And thanks for reminding me on I shouldn't do that. And when we are finished here, I will take a rest and a break for today because it's almost 6:30 in the evening here. It's getting dark. And I will take the evening off.
Wonderful. And thank you.
I will act on it. That's sufficient for today.
I love that. I love that. You are an accent taker. Like, yes, I go for it.
Totally. I got the message and that's it. Okay. So, my dear listeners, I will put everything in the show notes that we covered and the bullet points and the resources from Katja. And Katja, you please stay for a second. I have a technical issue with you after we are here. And that was it. And have a wonderful day. Bye-bye, Fly Nation.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, we're gonna cut here. And thanks for the wonderful interview and the wonderful session here. Fly Nation, I hope you enjoyed this interview with Katja Rusanen. And please stay tuned to next week's episode number 28 with Njache Ballas. Remember, Fly Nation, break free and fly. Talk to you next week. Bye.